Well, forget it. I'm not gonna do it. Come on, kid. Aren't you the least bit excited about it? Nope, not in the slightest. Kid, come on. You have done every single major release from this franchise on your YouTube channel. That's not true. Haven't done the Doom RPGs or the Mighty Doom yet. I said every substantial release, kid. Come on. You know that you want to talk about it. You literally did a marathon of all the major games counting down to Doom Eternal. For a while there, it kind of looked like you were going to make your channel into a Doom channel. And yet, out of nowhere, you just stopped talking about it? You haven't even done a proper review of Doom Eternal yet. Heck, you haven't even finished submitting your second playthrough of Doom Eternal yet. You haven't even played the Ancient Gods DLC, kid. What gives? I wised up, Carl. You've seen the reaction that my channel gets. Nobody wants to hear me talk about Doom. It's clear that on this channel, people want me to talk about kaiju stuff like Godzilla, and yet even then, it's still hit or miss. Ah, kid, this isn't about the lackluster reception on your last Monstrous Moments, is it? That didn't shake your confidence that badly, did it? Well, why shouldn't it? I thought that I was finally giving people what they wanted, and yet they didn't react to it at all. It barely got any attention compared to the last few Monstrous Moments that I did. And it's the same for all my Doom videos, too. They barely got any sort of attention, barely any of the audience engaged with it. I guess people just don't like hearing about Doom from me. So if I'm going to focus on giving the audience what they want, why should I even bother with Doom when it's not going to get any attention? Uh-huh. And yet you did a live stream of Doom 2 at the start of the year that lasted for a couple of weeks. That really wasn't all that serious. For the one thing, my original playthrough of the game was really poorly edited and very choppy, so I figured that it was time for a proper update, and plus I was mostly doing it for... Go on, say it. You were doing it for fun. That's part of the reason why you wanted to get into this YouTube gig, because you thought that it would be a whole lot of fun, and yet you seem convinced at every single turn to suck the fun out of everything. So why can't you just think about having fun while you're doing this? Because I'm being critical, Carl. I want people to listen to my opinion, and I want them to actually respect it. That's part of the reason why I've had such a hard time of actually sitting down and writing a proper review for Doom Eternal. Not just because the game gives me a whole lot of conflicting feelings, but because I know what the reception of such a review is going to be. I'm not gonna lie, Carl. Part of the reason why I lack so much enthusiasm is because Doom Eternal left a very bad taste in my mouth. Not just the game itself, but from the fans of the game. I really don't like making arguments like this, but it really feels like the fandom needed to tone itself down during the major Doom Eternal hype. Because every single detraction Doom Eternal got that might have criticized it was immediately dismissed as a skill issue, or being an ill-informed games journalist who didn't know how to play a game. The response was, "You're a hater, get good." Why would I bother putting out a video talking about a game, talking about all the flaws that I don't like about it, when all of it's just going to get shot down as just being a filthy casual who doesn't know how to play? Well, for the one thing, I'd say that the golden skin that you unlocked from beating Ultra Nightmare proves that you aren't no filthy casual. You know how to play the game, kid, but that don't mean you have to like it. Secondly, I think you're putting a little too much stock into what other people think about your opinions. They're yours for a reason, and if you're putting them out on the internet to share, then you're opening yourself up to that kind of criticism. You either take it on the chin, or you let it knock you down and keep you down. But if you truly want to share your opinion on a subject, you better be prepared to stand with it. And I honestly think that you are, kid. And I know that talking about Doom Eternal gets you messed up because your tongue gets all tied and twisted. But I have faith in you, kid. It's very rare that I've come across someone who is articulate as you, who has a passion for talking about these kinds of things, whether it be Godzilla, Jurassic Park, or in this case, Doom. I know that it's in you, kid, and I know that you want to talk about this sort of thing. So come on, why don't you give this new Doom game a chance? Well, I guess you're right, Carl. After all, the trailer does look pretty badass. You're damn right it does. And who knows, maybe this new hype for this new Doom game will finally get me out of the slump and finally get me to start talking about Doom Eternal the way it was deserved. I hope so too, kid. Just remember, even though you want your YouTube channel to be popular and successful, you're still technically just starting out, and you haven't really found your niche yet. But at the end of the day, during this drudgery time during your YouTube channel's life, you just gotta do it for yourself. You stick true to that, kid, and you'll find that it doesn't matter what you make, because as long as you put your heart and passion into it, you'll love it. And eventually, you'll find someone else who loves it too. Thanks, Carl. Right. Let's talk about that trailer. Well, I gotta say, I honestly didn't expect that I'd be making this sort of video, especially not as haphazardly as I have. All this is going to be reactionary, off the cuff, trying to basically rebuild my first impressions. So, Bethesda has officially revealed the trailer for their new upcoming Doom game, Doom: The Dark Ages. And I gotta say, I am completely blown away, folks. I did not see this coming. Mainly because, well, even though I had been following rumors about the upcoming Doom game that was supposed to be revealed at some time this year, I honestly didn't put much stock into those rumors, because it honestly felt like after Doom Eternal and the Ancient Gods DLC, with how definitive it felt on the Doomslayer's story and subsequently the entire Doom narrative, I honestly felt like Bethesda and id Software wanted to put Doom to bed, and that Doom Eternal would be the final chapter of the entire thing, at least for a while, until an inevitable reboot happened. What I'm basically saying is that even though I heard rumors about this game being a possibility, I didn't think that it would actually ever exist. And yet, here it is, teased for next year. What I find so ironic about it is the fact that the time has gone by so quickly because I wasn't expecting this game. Let me put it this way. After I played Doom 2016, I was so hyped for the next Doom game. I wanted so badly to see where the story would go and get more out of Doom 2016 in this new direction that the franchise was being taken, that I could not wait for the next game to be revealed. And then, finally, after thinking, hey, it's been like 3, almost 4 years at this point, where's the next Doom game? Shouldn't we have heard something about it? And no sooner than that, we get the first teaser trailer showcasing what looks like hell on earth, Doom guy stomping onto that demon skull and over the ruins of civilization. And then we get the title, Doom Eternal, set for release in November of 2019. But then we get the horrible message later in the summer that it's actually going to be delayed until spring of 2020. And it's like, well, it honestly felt like an eternity waiting for Doom Eternal to come out, because I had such high hopes and expectations of it, and that's just become so tragically ironic in hindsight. But now, because of how I reacted to Doom Eternal, I honestly didn't think that another Doom game was coming, so I didn't really expect it, I didn't really anticipate it, and yet now here we are 4 years later. For comparison, Doom 2016 came out in 2016. Doom Eternal came out in 2020. That's literally 4 years apart for these two games. Now here we are 4 years apart, and Doom the Dark Ages has only just now been officially revealed, and it's not coming out until next year, and it feels like absolutely no time has passed. It honestly feels like Doom Eternal came out yesterday, and I don't know if that's a combination of my overall disappointment in Doom Eternal, my indifference towards whether or not the Doom franchise would continue, my belief that it wouldn't continue, or if maybe the pandemic had something to do with it. Like, maybe somehow all of us putting our lives on hold during the pandemic actually did kind of throw off our sense of time and make everything feel like it was going by very quickly. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there are some people out there for whom the pandemic just lasted forever, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about a different sort of global apocalypse in Doom. So, let's actually talk about Doom the Dark Ages itself. I gotta say that I actually am pretty excited. For the one thing, taking the next Doom game, and putting it in this time period was a stroke of genius. For those of you who probably weren't able to pick up on it from the trailer itself, this game is going to take place during the years that the Doomslayer was with the Sentinels, where I guess after the events of the original Doom timeline, Doom guy was just wandering through hell, where he happens to be found by the Sentinels and brought to Sentinel Prime in, which was that? Yeah, it was in Sentinel Prime, where he was forced to fight in the gladiatorial arena before joining the Sentinel ranks and then joining the Knight Sentinels themselves, where he basically earned the reputation of being the Slayer. This game is going to shed more light on his years with the Sentinels as it deals with the Sentinels and the initial invasion of the demons as they tried to basically conquer their worlds, and I'm sure we're probably going to see the inevitable betrayal of the Makers, and who knows, maybe we might even get to see the inevitable betrayal of Valen, we might see the creation of the Icon of Sin, we might even see the moment where Doomguy is trapped in hell, where the Black Temple is collapsed on him and he's sealed away in his sarcophagus, but only time will tell. Let's talk about the aesthetic as well as the gameplay. I gotta be honest, back during 2016, I felt like the franchise was more in line with what Doom was, instead of what Doom has now become, to the point where I could still accept that it was Doom. Everything became more recognizable the more we went into the game. But the idea of the Knight Sentinels, this far-off race from a distant planet that had technology, kind of like the UAC, but they conducted themselves like the Knights of old, that honestly excited me for the concept. But then Doom Eternal started to explore it more. We got to see all these worlds and all these places that were controlled by the Sentinels. We saw Terras Nabad. We saw Sentinel Prime. We saw Argentia, if that's what that city's name was. I can't really remember all that much. It's been a while since I played Doom Eternal. What I'm basically saying is, I think that with Doom Eternal, we saw a little bit too much of the Sentinels, and we were given so much of their story in how it relates to these events. And we basically got spoon-fed Doomguy's story with them, how he basically ended up with them, and what he basically went through, how he rose through the ranks. It honestly kind of took a lot of the fun out of it, because now there's no longer that much in terms of mystery. The story is just plainly there, and the story is poorly written. That's all I've got to say about that. But I feel like giving us another game that kind of fleshes out and explores it will probably be for the best, because in a lot of ways, it feels like they put so much love, detail, and attention into the backstory of the Sentinels than they did for Eternal itself, that you can just tell they wanted to be telling that story instead of Eternal. But therein also lies the problem that I'll probably bring up again when I talk about an official Doom Eternal review. The fact that if they are so determined to tell this story with the Night Sentinels, then it feels like they are more or less concerned with doing their own fan fiction and are simply using the Doom franchise as a vehicle to get their story its attention. That's what I feel as a critic. However, as a fan of the Doom franchise, and not just that, but more or less a fan of the Doom engine itself, I gotta say this has me hyped. The Slayer looks awesome. The Praetor suit looks like a combination of how it was in Doom Eternal and Doom 2016 with the gladiatorial training suit that he wore that is an unlockable skin back in Doom Eternal. And he has this really badass fur coat that looks like something out of Game of Thrones going along with it. He's got his super shotgun, which I guess either is going to be a leftover from when the original Doom timeline that the Sentinels are able to manufacture ammunition for it, or maybe somehow they themselves coincidentally have an approximation of what a shotgun is and are able to replicate it in their culture, but based on the weaponry and technology that we see in the game itself, I highly doubt it. But on the other hand, he has a shield. Something that I honestly think that after Doom Eternal is something that we're desperately going to need. Now, here's the part that really makes me squee in delight as not just a fan of Doom, but a fan of the Doom engine. The fact that the shield has spikes around the edge of the shield itself, and apparently the Doom guy has integrated a chainsaw into the shield. I don't know if this is a thing that the Sentinels have done and had at their disposal all this time, or if it's something that they reverse engineered from Doom guy when they found him, because he's going to have the Great Communicator with him after the events of Doom 64. You just know it. So it's basically a cool idea. The fact that instead of giving us the regular old chainsaw, they're making the chainsaw have more functions, which is what I really wish that Doom Eternal had done. Because when you get down to it, the chainsaw, the crucible, and the Doom blade really all serve the same function in how they kill demons, that they really should have all just been rolled into one weapon, not just a give me ammo free card or something that makes the glory kills look lame and it takes the sting out of them. So besides a demon delete button, I guess. So the idea that the shield is going to have integrated uses where you can defend yourself from enemy fire and you can throw it like Captain America and it returns to you with a magnet on Doom Guy's arm just like in Age of Ultron, and the fact that it basically has spinning blades like a chainsaw, yeah, this thing is going to be fun to play with, but here's the thing that gets me the most excited. You see, going into Doom 2016, I couldn't help but notice that the design choice with some of this medieval fantasy might have actually been referencing something else tangentially related to Doom. So, and going into Doom Eternal, I felt like that's what they were still going for. The idea that they were actually trying to reference Doom's not exactly sister games, but more like the lesser cousins of Doom, set in the medieval fantasy swords and sorcery style of location, that being Heretic and Hexen. In fact, there's actually the Whiplash from Doom Eternal and the Gargoyle actually resemble monsters from Heretic and Hexen respectively, so this could have very easily been a way of tying all three of the game's stories together into the Doom universe, that the demons from Hell have actually succeeded in invading the worlds of Heretic and Hexen, and now all those monsters, all those enemies, are now a part of Hell's army. And the shield is once again a reference to Hexen, because in Hexen there are those centaur enemies that have shields just like it. The blades don't spin like a saw, but they do have those bladed edges. And I've seen modded Doom games where that shield now becomes a playable item that the player can wield to either defend themselves or fight against the demons with. So I appreciated that. That's a nice bit of fan service that I really like. It's a nice little reference to Raven Software. Considering that Bethesda owns Raven Software alongside id Software, I just really wish that they would take them off Call of Duty and let them join in on this collaboration, revive Heretic and Hexen, and finally get a proper crossover with Doom. But that's basically like me fanboying out. Other things to fanboy out on are, well, the other weapons look cool. They've got like this bolt gun that fires stakes, kind of like a vampire killer. And apparently they've also got this gun that grinds up skulls and shoots the bone shards like bullets. So that looks like it'll be interesting to play around with as well. And I really can't wait for it. Might as well get to the big issue. One of the things that I basically disliked about Doom Eternal is that a lot of what was in the game felt like window dressing, like it was only there because it looked cool, and that basically extends to the Titans and the Sentinel mechs. In as early as the first level, you see these giant Titans just roaming around, and you also see these destroyed battle mechs from the ARC as well as Sentinel Prime that are just sitting around and not being used. It would have been so amusing if we could like climb into one and actually use it to accomplish our goal in one of the levels. Probably would have made a whole lot of things a whole lot easier too, but so it basically just felt like they were just there in the background doing nothing, and yet in this game, the trailer specifically shows us that, yeah, we're going to take control of one, and we're going to fight a Titan demon hand-to-hand with it. That's so awesome, seeing it uppercut that Titan demon like something at a Pacific Rim. It's about time. Maybe they did the right call by establishing these things early on to tease us with the idea of it, only to now be able to show us that, yeah, here are the keys, have fun. Doom Guy apparently also has a dragon. I think that this is going to be something that's probably native to Sentinel Prime, that the Sentinels basically have tamed using Argent energy or whatever. And he's going to be using it to fly around the cities, and I'm pretty sure that every single kaiju fan has to point this out. The fact that at the very end of the trailer, we see this dragon thing on the face of a demon, literally giving it the kiss of death, Godzilla style, just breathing a stream of fire down its throat. Yep. This Doom trailer, it's got me excited. I can't wait to find out who the main villain of this game is going to be, despite the fact that I already know. I can't wait to see all the things that we're probably going to see with this video and with this game. I can't wait to see what the game has to show us. However, at this point in time, because of how lukewarm I was to Doom Eternal, I really don't think that I am ready to be vulnerable like that again, because I gotta admit, I suffered a great deal of buyer's remorse after I got Doom Eternal on launch, and there were so many glitches and so many problems basically during the first few months that I legit basically kind of wanted my money back almost. So this time, I think that I'm going to sort of sleep on Doom Dark Ages, at least for a little while. I'm gonna basically let all the bigger YouTubers play it first, and then I'll basically come to a decision on whether or not the game looks like it's worth playing and worth my time and money. But don't get me wrong, it most likely is going to be worth my time and money. It just ultimately depends on the gameplay, as if the gameplay is going to determine whether or not I buy the game immediately, or if I basically decide to wait for it to go on sale. Because if I knew how different Doom Eternal was going to be from Doom 2016, I probably would have waited for it to go on sale. And that's surprising because it actually went on sale pretty quickly. But that's my reaction to this Doom trailer. I'm glad that the series is continuing, but I really hope that one day we get a proper game that comes in between 2016 and Doom Eternal, because I feel like there's a huge chunk of story missing from this story that needs to be told. So, that's basically all I've got to say about that. Well, there now, that wasn't so bad, was it? Yeah, you're right, Carl. Talking about Doom actually did get me excited again. Despite all the flaws that I think Doom Eternal has, I do love this franchise, and I am excited to see more of it. And, well, I am looking forward to when this game comes out next year, and I honestly am gonna really enjoy playing it. I honestly think that I am. But I am still gonna be cautious because I loved Doom 2016 so much, and I just don't want to get hurt again like I did with Doom Eternal. Well, nobody says that you are going to get hurt, but you're right to basically be cautious, kid. But it seems like you basically have got your spark for Doom back, and, well, if you really are all that worried about your channel not getting enough attention and your Doom content being overlooked, there is always something that you could do about it. I seem to recall that you've actually had something on the back burner for quite some time now, something that you actually do have a lot of confidence in that you could find an audience for. Yeah, there is that one project. Well, I'd say that it's time for you to pick it off the shelf, dust it off, and finally get to work on it again, kid. I think that this project could actually garner the attention that you've been looking for. I think you're right about that, Carl. I'm going to call up LT and Chaos right now and ask them what they think about finally getting this project off the ground. And I think that if you really want this project to get the support that it deserves, then it might be time for us to consider the Patreon page. Yeah, you're right. I could basically use the Patreon as a means of advertising the project as well as garnering support for it. Well, ladies and gents, you heard it from me and the Creeper plush doll itself. The time is coming where I'll finally make a Patreon page to support this project that I've had in my mind for the last few years now with the Patreon reward tiers. If you guys are interested in this project, be sure to check out the Patreon when it goes live, because I believe that it's something that you're not going to want to miss. But until then, you'll just have to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.